Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon is off today, so I am joined by our great friend from the starting lineup on Sirius XM, Mr. Frank Isola. Wow. And we begin today with the Toronto Blue Jays getting their first win in the ALCS by pounding Seattle last night, 13-4. The Blue Jays hit 5 home runs. They were all over Seattle starter George Kirby by the 3rd inning. Seattle had won the first 2 games and gone back home, presumably in the driver's seat. So, Frank, does this result change how you see this series?
You don't win 94 games like the Blue Jays did, and the way they outclassed the Yankees, you're not going to give up after losing 2 home games. And, you know, Seattle's been their home away from home. They've scored 34 runs there in the 4 games they played. That includes the 13. And let's face it, Tony, it all begins and ends with Vladimir Guerrero, who was so good last night, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I loved when his dad used to hit barehanded. He uses gloves, but he can hit like his father. I mean, he is so dangerous at the plate. I love the fact that he could have gotten the hit for the cycle, but as he was rounding second, I think he said, you know what, let me just stop here. I'll probably get thrown out, and who knows, maybe I can get injured. But their offense finally came to life, and I think it was big because they trailed in this game. They came back and won, and you knew what was going to happen, and they're going to have Max Scherzer going, and Max Scherzer has struggled in September, but you know what? In moments like this, I wonder if he could rise to the occasion one more time. It might be his last ever postseason start. Maybe he can get it done.
So it's interesting that you would say you knew it would happen, because I didn't know it would happen. This changes my view a little bit. All right. Because of the way Toronto won, because of the way they pounded Seattle at that point. But let's look at this. Yesterday on the show, I said I thought Toronto had a better chance of making up ground against Seattle than I thought Milwaukee did against the Dodgers, because Toronto hits the ball better. But they are down, they're on the road down 2-0, and down 2-0 in that game in the first inning. Julio Rodriguez hits a 2-run home run in the first inning. So if I'm on Toronto, maybe I'm thinking to myself, is this it? You know, they responded like champions. As you said, Vlad Guerrero went 4 for 4. He hadn't had a hit in the series. I think the team was batting 131, and last night the team batted 409. They had 5 home runs. They had 4 doubles. I mean, this is what they're supposed to do. This is what they're built to do. But I don't find it remarkable that the series is 2-1. Most series in the third game are 2-1. And I don't find it remarkable that Toronto won on the road, because in both LCSs, only the road teams have won. The trouble for Seattle, I think, down the road is if they lose one more and they have to go back to Toronto. Because Toronto behaved last night like they did against the Yankees. And that's scary.
Vlad Guerrero was 0 for 7 with 6 groundouts in this series before he came to life last night. And I know that you love Alejandro Kirk. If Seattle's got the big dumper, Toronto's got the little dumper. How about
small
that
dumper.
Guy? And the home run that he hit last night. Yep. He's a lot of fun. All right, let's move to the NLCS, and one weakness in the Dodgers' dominance so far, Shohei Ohtani. He's one of the greatest hitters in the world, and he's also just 2 for 25 with 12 strikeouts since the wild card round. Shohei says he doesn't think his recent return to the mound has hurt him at the plate. Tony, how concerned should the Dodgers be about Ohtani's hitting slump? A lot, a little, or not at all?
Well, I would point to what you just said about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. last night. 0 for 7 and then 4 for 4. Because sometimes it's the pitchers. It's not the hitters. Maybe Shohei Ohtani will find a pitch tonight that he loves. He drills it out of the park and it lands on the freeway. I mean, I would say, I'm tempted to say that the Dodgers should be a little bit concerned, but they're up 2-0. Maybe they don't have to be concerned. His recent at-bats are discouraging. You know, it's a 2 for 25 against good teams, against the Phillies, against the Brewers. I mean, and the 12 strikeouts. And if you watch him at the plate, he sometimes seems to be flailing at the ball, except when he's taking a called third strike, very often from lefties. I bring up the same thing that you just brought up, Frank. I wonder, has the pitching changed Ohtani, you know, when he gets to the plate? Because before he pitched at all in this series, he was 3 for 9 for 2 home runs, and since then it's the 2 for 25. And I was given a statistic today that when he pitched during the regular season, however long the duration was, even if just one inning, that the next game his batting average was 147.
Yeah, I'm going to say a little bit, just because, he took batting practice on the field at Dodger Stadium, and they say he rarely does that. So clearly it's something that he's thinking about. And, I remember covering years ago when, Barry Bonds was playing for the Pirates, great hitter, struggled in the playoffs. Aaron Judge, the Yankee fans, they're ready to jump off the George Washington Bridge because he's struggling. Look what he did against the Blue Jays in Game 3. Guys do eventually come to life. Here's something about Ohtani. 2 times already, he's made a huge impact without having to swing the bat. He's been intentionally walked Game 4 against the Phillies and then Game 1 against the Brewers to load the bases. Mookie Betts ends up walking, even though Mookie didn't get a hit. So even though Ohtani is struggling, they're putting him on pace, and both of those runs ended up being used. By the way, Mookie Betts, thus far, 2 walks with the bases loaded. The record for the postseason is 3, and a guy that Jim Palmer, has also been walked twice with the bases loaded in the postseason. A little interesting stat there.
Really? That's weird. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Thursday night game. Aaron Rodgers at 41 will start against Joe Flacco at 40. This is only the 4th time since 1950 the 2 quarterbacks over the age of 40 will start against each other. And the previous 3 times were all Tom Brady against Drew Brees. Frank, is this a fun curiosity to you, or does this matchup have real appeal?
It's a lot of fun to me. Come on, how often do you see this? You just gave the stat how rare it is. And let's face it, too, for Aaron Rodgers, think about what happened to him the last 2 years in New York. A lot of turnovers, sacked all the time, and a lot of losing, and he was also hurt. And Tony, in New York, they were giving Aaron Glenn a lot of praise for making Aaron Rodgers fly cross country to tell him essentially to kick rocks, right? You look at the way the Jets are struggling. Aaron Rodgers lands in Pittsburgh, and right now, I still expect Baltimore. I think they could right the ship. Maybe if Joe Burrow comes back, Cincinnati could go on a bit of a run here. But right now, they're the class of that division. Aaron Rodgers is in a really good position to make it back to the playoffs after 2 disastrous years in New York. And since he's gone, it's actually worse. So I'm interested in it because you don't see this very often. And listen, Joe Flacco needs to hold down the fort because right now Cincinnati certainly teetering.
Yeah, I'm glad that I have the chance to talk about this because as the oldest working human being in the United States of America, I laugh at 40 and 41, and I will undoubtedly tonight sit in front of the TV set until I fall asleep. I'll be wearing slippers and holding up my AARP card. Look, I think that this would have more appeal if Rodgers were still in Green Bay and Flacco were still in Baltimore because they won Super Bowls there. Flacco, this is a move out of desperation to bring Flacco onto Cincinnati because they're 0-4 since Burrow got hurt. But in the second half of the first game he played in last week, he was 21 out of 30. So he can still throw it. But I agree with